Hey guys, welcome to this tutorial. So I'm creating this because I know we don't have a lot of time together while we're in class, and there are just some things that I think would be good for you to know. So first of all, I will probably just go through the whole activities that we're going to go together in as a class, but I will expound maybe on some things that we don't have time to cover because the hour and a half that we're together is so short for what we're covering. So I hope that you find this useful. So if you move down here onto the screen now, I'm looking here at our sales ledger, and this is where we are going to start. And I'll periodically just come here to our PowerPoint to just reference where we're at and what we should be doing. So the first thing that I'm going to cover is formatting. And this is going to be really basic just because we don't have a lot of time to cover in class. But I really wanted to show you just some of the high level basics. And I know for some of you that what I'm going to cover is just so basic, and then for others that you've just never seen this before. So if you've already done this, you're a master at this part, just skip the video and move on to the things that are going to be more relevant for you. So let's see, we're going to talk about wrapping text, merge, center, alignment, and then some basic heading things. So here we'll go back to our sales ledger. So this is the sales data. And I'm working on the complete version because I'm going to work on that in this video, and then I'll make it available for you to reference after the class, so you can have that as well. So right here we have the sales ledger, and this is information about some employees, which region they sell for, and then all their quarter sales. And what we want to find out is what were the total sales for each salesperson through the year, what was the average across quarters, what was the highest quarter, the lowest quarter, and then we got to figure out what is their commission going to be. And right here, their commission will be based on a goal. So if they hit $500,000 in sales, then they are going to get a commission. Otherwise, they're not going to get a commission. So if they hit their goal, their commission will be 4%. All right, so let's get started. I think this is what we're going to talk about is formatting here. The first thing that I would want to do to make this look a little bit better is we have right here a sales ledger. Now, what we're going to do is we will merge and center this so it spans across the length of our data here. So if I just highlight this whole area and I go up here so I'm in the home tab, merge and center. And now that's going to center the title of this section, which is the sales ledger. And now we have it here. I really don't want it on the bottom, so we want to center it. So if we come here under alignment, we have, if I click on these bottom ones, you see what happens? It moves it from right, some left, center to right. I personally want everything centered. So we have it centered from right to left, and now we need to center it vertically. So we have our top alignment here. If I click on this, the first one, you see it puts it to the very top. What I really want is in the middle. I'm just showing you what happens. If I push this one, it drops it back down to the bottom. So I want it in the middle. Now that looks okay, except I would prefer that it is bigger. So if I just click on the cell again, I can come here to font size and I'll just make it bigger. And I'm going to make it a lot bigger. That maybe is too big. That's probably fine. So I'll leave it at 36. And then I personally like to change the background color to something dark. So I'll do like a blue, and then I'll make it bold. So right here, I just did a control B. I'll type that here, CTR plus B, and that will make it bold. Or you can come here and just click on that cell and push the B and make it bold. I know this is probably super basic for you. All right, so I got that done. Now let's go make this, all of our headings cleaner, in my opinion. So this is what I like to do. I like to center it both right to left and then center it vertically. So everything is center, and then I normally like to bold it as well. So I'll come here to bold, and then this is what my preference is to make the background really dark. and then come here to the font and make the font white. That way it's really easy for me just to see what the headings are and differentiate them from the rest of my data. All right, there's one thing that I don't have set up for us, and that is wrapping text. So if I were to I'm going to come down here and I'm just going to do it over here in this cell. If I were to write a really long text, string of text, so I could say, hello, welcome to this class. I am excited to have you. If we look at this in the context of this cell, it is overflowing. It doesn't fit in this cell. There's a couple things that we can do. And first, this is actually a really good thing for you to know. If you don't know how to do this, we need to make this cell fit the data in here. I could just come up here in between R and S, right where the cursor changes with that line in it. If I click right there, I can just drag it to where it fits the data. But the easier way, I'm just going to put it back. The easier way is just to go to that point where the cursor is got the line in it and the two arrows, and just double click there, and it will automatically fit that cell to the data you have in there. Now, this works occasionally, but what happens if this was really long? So we had this text here, but then right below it we had more text, and we said maybe we'll do something more. We are going to cover some intermediate topics in Excel. Now, if we look at this now is overflowing. And this really happens a lot when we enter data and we have like a description, for example. But what if we don't want it to be like this? We don't want it to overflow to the next cell, and we don't want to just make this cell so wide. The thing that we can do is we click on that cell and we can wrap the text. You see what it does? I'll unclick it and see what happens. So if I wrap the text, it will force all of that text into the cell width. And instead of going wide, it will just make the cell a little bit longer so that text fits. So if you look here in my row 13, it's now wider. So that's called wrapping text. And this is also very useful if, like I said, you have like long descriptions and you just don't want it to overflow to the data in the column next to it. All right, so that is wrapping text. I'm just going to undo everything that I'm doing. I could come up here and click the arrow, but I am just going to do Control Z and just Control Z. And I'll just undo it. So now we're here back to where we were. All right, so now we have all the employees, our salespeople, and their region, and our quarters. The first thing that I notice is that this is dollar amounts, but it's not represented in dollar amounts. So what we're going to do is let's just change that. If I highlight it, let's change it to a currency. The way I like to do it, I just highlight the data, and then I'll come under here and just click on the dollar sign. The one thing that I don't like about it is that it will automatically add the decimals. So I want to get rid of those. And so I'll just come up here and I'll push the arrow, and do you see what I did? I clicked the wrong arrow. And I always do that. I always get confused which one I want to do. So it's easy if you don't know which arrow to push, just see what happens. So I need this other one. I'll keep pushing it until all the decimals are gone. And that's one thing that I would recommend doing. If we have the decimals, I'll go back. We don't even care about the cents. Like, these are all huge numbers, and cents just aren't even relevant in what we're doing right now. And I would recommend that most of the time when we're looking at numbers this large, that we just go and hide the decimal points, because it makes the data way more busy and it's just not really adding anything useful to us. All right, so here we're set up now. We want to find the total for each quarter, average, the highest, and the lowest. Okay, this is something that I probably won't have time to cover in class, and it's going to be something that will be nice to have. In class, I'm showing you, over here we have this auto sum feature, and this is awesome because if I'm next to all of this data and I put my cursor next to it, If I go here to auto sum, it will automatically add the sum function and select the data. It was super awesome. The cool thing about this is that if I were to come here to the bottom of the quarter and I was curious, so maybe I'll come here and I'll put total, and I want to know what the total for the fourth quarter is, I can do the same thing. So instead of clicking auto sum, I'll just show you. If you click on the drop down, it will give you options for more functions. So if I click on sum, it will automatically select the data above it into my sum formula, and then I can push enter, and then here's the total for all of the fourth quarter. So that's a really nice feature. The thing about it, it just tries to assume what data that you want. So for example, here in column G6, the only data next to it is data to the left of it, so in the row. And so it will just assume, okay, I assume that you want to sum this information, and here the only data around it is data above it. So it will just assume, hey, I want you to, or you want me to sum the data that's in this column. But there are times that you have data on both, and Excel will try to figure out what you want, and you'll have to just prompt it and help it, because it may get confused if you had say if I had data here. So say I had data here as well, and I want to do the sum, and maybe let's do that. Let's create a sum for all of these. So if I do, I'll just do auto sum, and we're going to get it for all of our columns, and I'm going to copy it out.
Come up for dinner.
Okay, I'm being told that dinner's ready. Okay, I'll come back in a minute, bud. So if I come back and do this now, oh, see, it selected this, but maybe I would have wanted this information. So in case like this, where I actually wanted this to be summed, I would have to just come, it's already highlighted for me, so I can just push delete and then go and select the data. And when I do that, then it will sum that data for me. All right. So I'm going to undo this, and I will just leave it. If I double click, this is a really nice thing to know. If you want to know where the formula is coming from, if you just click, first, if you click on that cell, so I'll click onto it, I can come up here to my formula bar, and I can see that there's an equation there. And if I want to know what it's actually referring to, I can double click that cell, and it will highlight the information that is being used for that formula. All right, so we're going to just leave that there. I think from a formatting point of view, we want to talk about this. So we have our total and all of our totals across the bottom. I think we need to find a way to differentiate that from everything else. So I'll select it, and this is just my preference. I'll just go and add a line to the top of it. So I'll do a top border. All right. And now I can see that these are my totals. All right.